My life changed forever on that sunny spring afternoon. I was walking absent-mindedly through the city streets, absorbed in my everyday thoughts, when a sharp, piercing pain in my chest stopped me dead in my tracks. The intensity was such that I stood frozen in the middle of the sidewalk, feeling the world around me begin to blur. The voices of passers-by gradually faded away, as if someone were turning down the volume on reality itself, until everything was plunged into a deep darkness. What I experienced next defies all earthly explanation. My consciousness began to rise, gently separating from my physical body, as if it were a feather carried by a gentle breeze. From this new perspective, I gazed at the lights of the city that were becoming smaller and smaller beneath my feet. It was a surreal sight. The buildings, streets, and people became a tapestry of light and shadow that stretched as far as the eye could see. In the midst of this extraordinary experience, an indescribable warmth enveloped me completely. It was not a physical warmth, but a feeling of love and peace so deep that it penetrated to the very core of my being. It was then that I saw him, a majestic figure enveloped in a golden light that emanated serenity and unconditional love. It was Jesus, and his presence instantly transformed my entire being. His gaze contained the entire universe. It was deep, compassionate, and filled with a wisdom that transcended all human understanding. Without moving his lips, his voice resonated within me with crystal clarity. "Come with me. I want to show you something special." Each word vibrated with a love so pure that tears began to spontaneously flow from my eyes. He gently took me by the hand, and the scenery around us was completely transformed. We found ourselves on a luminous path where each step revealed new wonders. The very air seemed to be alive, pulsating with the breath of life, with heavenly melodies that no human ear had ever heard. The vibrations of this divine music resonated in perfect harmony with the beating of my heart. In the distance, I could make out ethereal figures moving with supernatural grace. They were heavenly beings whose mere presence contributed to the universal symphony surrounding us. Their fluid, coordinated movements wove patterns of light in the air, creating a spectacle that no earthly words could adequately describe. True peace, Jesus explained to me as we walked, begins when you recognize and reconcile yourself with your divine purpose. As he spoke, a bridge of pure crystal materialized before us, leading into a garden of indescribable beauty. Each step we took on the bridge activated a series of memories from my earthly life, projecting them as if they were living holograms. I saw moments of profound joy: my first bicycle, my mother's embrace after a fall, college graduation, my wedding. But I also witnessed moments of pain and regret, hurtful words I should never have spoken, opportunities to help I passed up, relationships I allowed to deteriorate out of pride. Every memory, both happy and painful, shone with a new perspective under this heavenly light. As I entered the garden, I marveled at the perfection of every detail. Not only did the flowers bloom as we passed, but each petal emitted perfectly tuned musical notes, creating a melody that spoke directly to the soul. The colors were more vivid than anything I had ever seen on earth, and each plant seemed to possess a consciousness of its own. Jesus stood in the middle of this living paradise and looked at me with an intensity that penetrated to the very core of my being. "The peace you have sought," he said with infinite tenderness, "is much more than the mere absence of conflict or pain. It is the understanding of the world, the truth." These words stirred within me a gratitude so profound that I felt as if my heart would burst. For the first time in my life, I truly understood the meaning of forgiveness and unconditional love. It was not an abstract concept or a nice theory, but a tangible reality that I could experience in every fiber of my being. With a wave of his hand, Jesus opened before my eyes a window into the distant past. I beheld the earth in its earliest days, bursting with life and infinite possibilities. It was a spectacle of primal beauty and creative power that took my breath away. Continents were forming and transforming, oceans roared with primordial force, and life itself emerged in all its diversity and splendor. Then the vision changed, and I found myself looking at Lucifer in his original state before his fall. He was a creature of dazzling light, endowed with incomparable talents and beauty. His presence radiated heavenly music, and his brilliance rivaled the brightest stars. Pride, Jesus murmured with a note of sadness in his voice, was what kept him from true love and, therefore, from true peace. The scene was transformed again, and I witnessed spiritual battles of a magnitude that defied all understanding. I saw how decisions motivated by ego and fear created ripples of consequence that extended through time and space. I felt the pain and anguish of those who had lost themselves in the darkness of doubt, seeking peace in empty places that could never provide it. Jesus squeezed my hand tighter, bringing me back to the heavenly garden. True peace, he said in a soft but firm voice, is an act of surrender, a deep acceptance that you have never been and never will be alone. In that moment, an incomparable serenity flooded my entire being. For the first time, I truly understood what it meant to be alone, or part of something infinitely bigger than myself. We approached a river of crystal-clear water that flowed gracefully through the garden. In every drop of water, I could see the faces of people I had loved, and also those I had hurt throughout my life. Every choice, Jesus explained as we watched the dancing waters, every act of love or indifference, shapes your path to peace. I saw clearly how my past decisions, both good and bad, were woven into a complex tapestry of consequences and lessons. I felt the weight of each time my pride kept me from asking for forgiveness, but also the pure joy of those times when I chose to love without expecting anything in return. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared on the riverbank, my grandmother, who had always been my example of kindness and wisdom. Her radiant smile and her gesture of greeting filled me with indescribable joy. Humility, Jesus continued, is not weakness, but the greatest of strengths. True peace blossoms when you choose to serve and love unconditionally. The river murmured a song of reconciliation that resonated with every fiber of my being, and I felt my heart open to a whole new understanding of life and eternity. Each note of this heavenly melody carried with it a lesson about love, forgiveness, and true peace. A road materialized before us, splitting into two paths, one bathed in resplendent light and the other shrouded in mysterious shadows. The duality of existence was manifested with crystal clarity, light and dark, choice and consequence, love and fear. Jesus then showed me people in my life who were facing their own internal battles, some bowing to the weight of pride, others finding strength in faith and unconditional love. With a simple gesture, he brought to mind memories of times when I had chosen to judge rather than understand, condescending to the power of love. Ignore instead of loving. Peace is born, he said with infinite patience, when you choose to see the light that dwells in every being, even in those who seem lost in the darkness. We watched a young man sitting alone on a park bench, a scene I recognized from my past. His gaze reflected a deep sadness that pierced my heart. I needed a word of comfort that never came, Jesus whispered, and I felt regret and compassion mix within me as a soft light called to us from the other side of the road. Eternal peace, Jesus concluded with a smile that radiated infinite hope, is within everyone's reach, but it must be consciously chosen, moment by moment, day by day. I understood that I had reached a crucial point in my journey. The heavenly garden and the river of life were beginning to gently blur, as if a cycle were coming to a natural end. Jesus reached out his hand once again, showing me that there was still much to do, much love to share, even after this transformative experience. The peace you have found here, she said in a gentle but firm voice, can and must be brought back into the world. Love without reservation, forgive without conditions, serve without expecting a reward. The air began to melt into a brilliant light, and I felt my spirit being gently guided back into my physical body. One final message rang in my heart with the clarity of 1,000 bells. True peace comes when you live with purpose and unconditional love. I opened my eyes in the hospital room, surrounded by my family, and a new certainty blossomed within me with the force of an eternal spring. The days that followed my near-death experience were imbued with a renewed sense of purpose and meaning. Every interaction, no matter how small, became an opportunity to share the love and peace I had experienced in that heavenly realm. I shared my story with friends and family, watching their faces transform with tears of emotion and smiles of understanding. Small gestures of kindness became a fundamental part of my daily routine, bringing me ever closer to the profound lessons I had learned during my encounter with Jesus. His voice continued to echo in my memories, constantly reminding me of the importance of seeking divine light in each person who crossed my path. I discovered that true peace was contagious, spreading silently like morning dew among all those around me. I found the courage to seek reconciliation with people I had distanced myself from, offering and receiving forgiveness with an open and humble heart. Each new dawn became a precious gift, a new opportunity to remember that eternal peace begins with a heart willing to love without limits and serve with humility. The transformation in my life was profound and lasting. The worries that had once consumed me lost their power over me, replaced by an unwavering trust in the divine love I had experienced. The relationships I had neglected blossomed again under the care of my renewed understanding of unconditional love. My perspective on life and death changed completely. I no longer saw death as something to fear, but as a transition to a higher, more beautiful reality. This understanding allowed me to live more fully in the present, appreciating each moment as a sacred opportunity to grow in love and wisdom. The lessons Jesus had shown me were manifesting in my daily life in unexpected and beautiful ways. I found a new patience with the imperfections of others and my own, recognizing that we are all on a journey of learning and spiritual growth. The peace I had found in that heavenly garden was not a passive state of tranquility, but an active, transformative force that impelled me to be an instrument of love and reconciliation in the world. Each day brought new opportunities to put into practice the eternal truths I had learned. My near-death experience became a beacon of hope not only for me, but for all those who heard my story. Through it, I was able to share a message of love, forgiveness, and peace that resonated deeply in the hearts of those who were searching for a deeper meaning in their lives. I now know, with a certainty that transcends all doubt, that true peace is not something found in the outside world, but a treasure we discover when we open our hearts to the divine love that has always been present. It is a gift that multiplies when we share it, a light that shines brighter when we light the way for others. Each day is a new opportunity to live. This truth, to be a reflection of the unconditional love I experienced in that transformative encounter. Eternal peace is not a distant destination, but a path that we walk step by step, choice by choice, moment by moment, always guided by the light of divine love that never goes out. As I reflect on all that I have experienced, each morning I wake up with renewed gratitude for this second chance. The words of Jesus continue to resonate in my heart like an infallible compass that guides my steps. I have learned that every encounter, every conversation, every gesture, however small it may seem, is a sacred opportunity to share some of that divine light that I experienced. The people around me have noticed the change. It is not just my way of speaking or acting. It is something deeper, a transformation that radiates from within. The problems that would have consumed me before, I now see from a different perspective, understanding that they are opportunities to practice that peace that was revealed to me. In my work, I have seen opportunities that I had never before considered. Where I once saw competitors, I now see brothers on a shared journey. The tensions that used to overwhelm me have become invitations to practice compassion and understanding. I have learned to listen not only with my ears, but with my heart, seeking the divine light that dwells in each person I encounter. My family has witnessed the most profound change. Old wounds that seemed impossible to heal have found healing in the unconditional love that now flows naturally. I have learned to forgive not only others, but also myself, understanding that every mistake of the past was part of the path that led me to this spiritual awakening. Moments of solitude, which once filled me with anxiety, are now sacred spaces of communion with that divine presence I knew. In the silence of meditation, I can reconnect with the peace I experienced in that heavenly garden, allowing it to renew my strength and clarify my purpose. I have begun keeping a journal where I document the small daily miracles that I would have previously overlooked. A smile shared with a stranger, a bird singing at my window, the spontaneous hug of a child. Each of these moments is a reminder that the divine is present in the everyday, waiting to be recognized and celebrated. Trials and difficulties have not disappeared from my life, but my way of facing them has radically changed. Where I once saw obstacles, I now see opportunities to grow in love and wisdom. The certainty that I am not alone on this path gives me a strength I have never known before. I have become more aware of the interconnectedness of all things. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates ripples that extend beyond our immediate understanding. I have learned to trust that the love we sow always finds its way to blossom, even if we cannot always see the fruits. The former my experience has taught me that true spirituality is not about rituals or dogma, but about living with an open heart and willingness to serve. Jesus' words about unconditional love have become my daily practice, transforming every interaction into an opportunity to share some of that divine light I experienced. The dreams I now have are different. I no longer seek success as defined by the world, but rather aspire to be a clearer channel for divine love to flow through me. Each day is a new opportunity to put into practice the lessons learned, to be a little more like that light I saw shining in Jesus' eyes. My understanding of time has profoundly changed. I no longer live in anticipation of the future or regretting the past. I have learned to fully inhabit the present, recognizing that each moment is a sacred opportunity to experience and share divine love. People frequently ask me if I am afraid that this inner peace will fade over time. My answer is always the same. This peace is not something I found on my own, but a divine gift is renewed every time I choose to love and serve. It is like an inexhaustible source that flows more abundantly the more we share it. I have begun to organize small reflection groups where I share my experience, not to convince anyone, but to create spaces where others can explore their own spiritual quests. The humility I learned in my encounter with Jesus helps me remember that each person has his or her own unique path to truth. The evenings have taken on a special meaning for me. In the stillness of the last hours of the day, I take time to review my actions and decisions, not from judgment, but from love and the desire to grow. Often, in these moments of reflection, I feel again that loving presence that accompanied me on my spiritual journey. My relationship with nature, it has also deepened. Every sunrise, every blooming flower, every drop of rain reminds me of the perfection of the heavenly garden I visited. I have learned to see creation not as separate from us, but as a tangible reflection of the divine love that sustains all things. Gratitude has become my most constant practice. Every breath, every heartbeat is a precious gift that reminds me of the second chance I have been given. This gratitude naturally overflows into acts of service and love toward others. As I move forward on this path of ongoing transformation, I understand more and more that the peace I experienced in that divine encounter was not just for me. It was an invitation to become a channel of that same love and peace for all those around me. Each day is a new opportunity to honor that gift, to live in a way that reflects the light I was shown. The journey continues, and each day brings new opportunities to delve deeper into these eternal truths. The peace I found is not a final destination, but a continuing path of discovery and growth. And as I continue forward, carrying with me the lessons of love and humility I have learned, I know with certainty that every step I take is guided by that divine light that never goes out.